And welcome back to the channel. Ed here today with probably the most important video that you can watch if you're a gym rat, a gym goer, a gym bro, and you take supplements. This is the most important information you need to know. So share this with all of your friends. If you guys like the videos I've been putting out, please leave a like, a comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do. I appreciate it. But we are diving into today how to properly dose SARMS, steroids, any supplement in general. You want to know how to properly dose them, how much you should be ordering when you're planning to order them. We are going to give a nice little math lesson for all of my gym nerds out there. So let's get into it. SARMs, steroids, supplements in general. Let's talk dosage. How much should I be taking per day? And we're going to go through that with a few examples. My first example is a SARMs example. So let's say you're taking RAD 140 and your RAD 140 is dosed at 10 milligrams per milliliter, but you want to take 15 milligrams per day. How are we going to do that? Well, it's a simple formula, guys. We are going to take the amount you want divided by the concentration of the bottle. So you want to take 15 milligrams per day. It's dosed at 10 milligrams per milliliter. We're going to take the amount divided by the concentration. 15 milligrams divided by 10 milligrams per milliliter. That means you're going to be taking 1.5 milliliters per day. So that is the amount that you should be taking. When you draw back on your little syringe thing, you should fill it up to 1.5 because that's how many milliliters you want to take in. Second example, slightly different, still along the same lines. Let's talk some more SARMs. Say you got LGD and it's dosed at 20 milligrams per milliliter, but you only want to take 8 milligrams per day. Well, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take how much you want divided by the concentration. So we're going to take 8 milligrams, that's what I want to take per day, divided by 20 milligrams per milliliter, the concentration of the bottle. That gets us 0.4 milliliters per day. So that's how much I'm going to draw back on my little syringe thing when I pull it out of the vial. 0.4 milliliters. That's your dose. It's that simple. You can do the same thing if you're trying to do steroids. Say you got testosterone. It's dosed at 250 milligrams per milliliter. But you want to do 600 milligrams per week. Also note, guys, throughout this video, SARMs is always going to be per day. Steroids, we're going to talk per week, and I'll explain that later. But for the sake of this example, let's continue. So your testosterone's dosed at 250 milligrams per milliliter. You want to take 600 per week. Well, we're going to do the amount you want to do, 600 milligrams per week, divided by the concentration, 250 milligrams per milliliter, and that's going to get you 2.4 milliliters per week. That's how much you're going to take. So if you were to do one shot per week, 2.4 milliliters is what you're looking for. If you're going to split it into two, just divide that by 2. So you're going to do 1.2 and 1.2. That will get you 2.4 milliliters per week. If you want to split that into 3 shots, just divide it by 3. 2.4 divided by 3, you're going to get 0.8 milliliters per shot. So you do it 0.8 3 times per week. Pretty straightforward. Now, we're going to get into the more complicated section of how much should we order. So this is where you guys got to put your little thinking caps on. We're diving deep into math to see how much of this stuff we should order when we're placing our orders. So let's start off with an example. We're going to start off with a nice little SARMs example again. So you want to do Ostarine, let's say, and you want to do your Ostarine at 20 milligrams per day, and you want to run it for 8 weeks. Sounds about right, all right? Well, you found a bottle of Ostarine that just so happens to be 20 milligrams per milliliter. And let's say it's in a 30 milliliter bottle, pretty standard. Well, that bottle's gonna last 30 days because you wanna take 20 milligrams per day. It just happens to be dosed at 20 milligrams per milliliter. So 30 milliliters will last you 30 days. So if you wanna do it for, say, 8 weeks, you're going to need about 2 bottles. 2 bottles will get you to 60 days. So that's almost, pretty damn close. But let's say conveniently we don't have a perfect 20 milligram per milliliter bottle. Let's say, for a different example, and this example is going to work for all cases, all right? So pay attention to this one. Let's say you want to take Cardarine, and you want to take Cardarine at 15 milligrams per day. You want to run it for a 10-week cycle. But your bottle is dosed at 25 milligrams per milliliter. That's a little different. So, using method number 1, I'm going to show you 2 different methods to kind of calculate how much of this stuff you're going to want to order or acquire or buy for your little test that you're going to run. So method 1 is the how long will it last method, all right? To do this method, you're going to do step 1. You want to get the total amount of Cardarine that is in the bottle that you're buying. So we're going to do that by doing the concentration of the bottle times the volume of the bottle. So the concentration, the Cardarine in question here is a 25 milligram per milliliter bottle. That's the concentration of it. We're just going to multiply it by the volume, 30 milliliters. And that will get us the total amount of Cardarine in that bottle. 25 times 30, that gets us 750 milligrams of Cardarine. That's how much Cardarine is in that bottle. Now, step 2, we're going to find how long it's going to last at the dosage you want to run it at. So in order to do that, we're going to take the total amount in the bottle divided by your daily dosage. So we have 750 milligrams in that bottle of Cardarine. We're going to divide that by 15 milligrams per day, which is what you want to take. And that's going to last 50 days. When you do 750 divided by 15, you get 50. 50 days, or about 7 weeks. 7 weeks is 49 days. So that bottle of 25 milligram per milliliter Cardarine in a 30 milliliter bottle will last you 50 days if you're taking it at 15 milligrams per milliliter. Now, obviously, if you do less, it will last longer. If you do more, it will go quicker. So, for example, let's take that 750 milligrams of Cardarine total that we have to use, and let's divide it by 10 milligrams per day. Let's say we want to do 10 milligrams per day. We're going to do a little bit less. How long will that get us? Well, we're going to do 750 divided by 10. That's going to get us 75. It will last us 75 days, or about 10 and a half weeks. All right. So if I want to run Cardarine for 10 weeks and I only want to buy 1 bottle, maybe I'll run it a little less. I'll run 10 milligrams per day. On the opposite end of the spectrum, if you want to do more, let's take that total amount of Cardarine we have to work with, our 750 milligrams. We are going to divide that by, let's say we want to do 20 milligrams per day. That gets us 37.5 days, or about 5 weeks. So, if I did 20 milligrams per day, that bottle will last me 5 weeks. I could do 20 milligrams per day, get 2 bottles, it'll last me 10 weeks. So that is the method 1, how long will it last me method. That is kind of how you can calculate how long that bottle is going to last you, depending on how much you want to do per day. Now, method 2 is the how much will I use method. So let's say, same scenario here. We've got that Cardarine bottle, it's 25 milligrams per milliliter, but we want to take 15 milligrams per day. Well, for the how much will I use method, we're going to find the total amount that you're going to use throughout your cycle by taking the amount you want to do per day divided by the concentration of the bottle times the duration of your cycle. So in this case, we're going to take the amount you want to do, 15 milligrams per day, divided by the concentration of 25 milligrams per milliliter, times the duration of 70 days, because we want to run 10 weeks, right? So 7 days times 10 weeks gets us 70 days. When we do 15 divided by 25 times 70 days, that gets us 42. and that is going to be milliliters, 42 milliliters. So if I run cardarine at 15 milligrams per day, and I'm taking it out of a 25 milligram per milliliter bottle, and I run that for 70 days, I will use 42 milliliters. But I only have a 30 milliliter bottle. So I'm either gonna have to order multiple bottles, or I'm gonna have to alter the amount I wanna do per day, or the duration to make it work, say if I only wanna get one bottle. So instead of 15, if I were to shoot a little bit lower, let's say 10, I use the same equation. I take the total amount I want to do, divided by the concentration, times the duration. So I want to do 10 milligrams per day, divided by that concentration of 25 milligrams per milliliter, times 70 days duration. That'll get me 28 milliliters. That works out pretty good if I have a 30 milliliter bottle. All right? So that is method 2, the how much will I use method. That was a SARMS example. It'll work same way with steroids. So let's run through a little steroids example just to show you that it works. But this time, instead of amount per day, we're going to talk about amounts per week, just because steroids are a little bit different. When we're doing SARMS, we want to just do days the whole time. So we're talking about amount per day, and for our durations, we're going to multiply it by how many days we want to do. For steroids, we're going to talk about weeks. So the amount we want to do per week, and then the number of weeks duration. That's the only difference. So, example, let's say we have testosterone dosed at 250 milligrams per milliliter. Comes in a 10 milliliter vial, usually, and you want to do 400 milligrams per week for 12 weeks, let's say. Your cycle is going to last 12 weeks. Well, let's go back to our method 1, our how long will it last method. So we're going to get our total amount of testosterone in that bottle by doing the concentration times the volume. So we take our concentration, 250 milligrams per milliliter, times the volume, 10 milliliters. That gets us 2,500 milligrams of testosterone. That is how much testosterone we have in that one bottle. Step 2, we are going to find out how long it will last given the dosage we want to run it at. So to do that, we're going to take that total amount of test that we have divided by our dosage. So we take 2,500 milligrams testosterone total divided by 400 milligrams per week, and we get 6.25, which is 6.25 weeks. So that one bottle of testosterone will last us 6.25 weeks, given we want to do 400 milligrams per week. So if we want to do a 12-week cycle, we're going to need 2 bottles, because one bottle is only going to last us 6.25 weeks. So 2 bottles will get you perfect. Boom. But for the sake of, this video, let's do by method 2, the how much will I use method. So we're going to find the total amount we're going to use by doing the amount you want to use. This time it's per week because we're talking about steroids. Divide the concentration of the bottle times the duration. Same formula. So we are going to do our 400 milligrams per week. That's the amount I want to do. Divided by the concentration of the bottle, 250 milligrams per milliliter, times our duration of 12 weeks. So if we do 400 divide 250 times 12, that gets us 19.2. So if I do 400 milligrams of testosterone per week, and the testosterone I'm using is 250 milligrams per milliliter, and I run it for 12 weeks, in total I use 19.2 milliliters. It's pretty close to 20. So if I were to run, a 12-week cycle at that dosage, I'm going to need 19.2 milliliters. So I'm going to need 2 bottles because each bottle's 10 milliliters. You get what I'm saying here? Anyway, that is a nice little math lesson that I hope you guys appreciate, and I hope more people really take this seriously, because I think some people just take whatever the hell they take. They don't know how high. They just throw the thing in, they fill it up to 1, and then they take that. That's dangerous, all right? Do the right amount, do the amount that you want to do that your research has brought you to, okay? So that is how you can calculate the right amount, the right dosage, the right amount to order. You're welcome, guys. If you need any more videos, let me know and I'll hook it up. Bye-bye.